I thought volunteering at Pride would just be something fun to do this summer. I never imagined it would completely change how I see myself. This wasn't my first Pride, but it was the first time. I wasn't there just as someone celebrating. I was there helping make it happen. And somehow that changed everything. Hi everyone and welcome back to my cute little channel. It's Albanera. I missed you so much and it's crazy. It's been a crazy month. Crazy. But I am back. Okay, I don't really know where to start this video because I've generally been thinking about it for weeks. Like I have so many thoughts about it. I've been writing things in my journal, making random notes on my phone at 3 a.m., talking to my friends about it, and every single time I feel like I still haven't found the right words. So this is me trying. If you've been wondering where I've been this past month, I promise I didn't disappear. Like, really living. June has probably been one of the most busiest, crazy months of my entire life. Let's keep it like that. But I became a Pride volunteer. I was working with the association. I designed my own Pride bookmark collection. You can find them on Etsy. I'm gonna leave the link below. We were selling merchandise to raise money for the parade. We had meetings. We were organizing everything behind the scenes. And at the same time, this month changed me a lot emotionally. Some things happened in my personal life that honestly broke my heart. And I think that because all of that, I ended up learning more about myself than I expected. Now that everything has slowed down a little, I finally feel like I've found my balance again, or at least I'm trying. And I wanted to come back here to you, to my little safe space, and tell you about one of the most meaningful experiences I've ever had. Because I thought volunteering at Pride would just be something fun to do. I thought I'd meet some people, help out, maybe make a few friends. I never expected it to change the way I see myself. And I know this sounds a little bit dramatic, but it's true. I think for the first time in my 23 years of my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Not just accepted, not just welcomed, belonged. And if you ever spent years of your life feeling different, you'll understand why that sentence means so much. So let's start with part one, why I wanted to volunteer. So every year when Pride comes around, I'm usually in fully celebration mode. I'm buying random flags I absolutely don't need. I'm dancing, crying every minute when I see like a cute deep sign. I'm hugging strangers. Basically, I'm an emotional disaster. Pride Month is that for me. But this year, something felt different. I kept thinking, I don't just want to celebrate Pride. I want to help create it. I wanted to experience Pride from the other side. I wanted to understand what actually happens before thousands of people fill the streets. Because if we're being honest, most of us only see one day. Me too. We show up, we celebrate, we dance, then we go home or on some after party. We don't really think about the hundreds of hours that happen before that moment. So I joined the volunteer team, and somehow I ended up joining the security team, which is honestly kind of perfect for me as a muscle mommy and boxing girl. But like, of course, I wasn't acting like some action movie security guard. My role was much simpler. I helped make sure the parade remained safe. We had to make sure that nobody entered like dangerous area, that everyone could celebrate peacefully, basically. And I don't know, there was something really beautiful about knowing that my small role was helping hundreds of people enjoy a day where they could finally breathe, a day where they could simply exist without fear. That meant a lot to me, more than I thought it would. Part two: what happens behind Pride? I think before volunteering, I honestly underestimate how much work goes into Pride, like a lot. There are meetings, planning, organization, people answering emails, talking to institutions, designing materials, setting everything up, selling merchandise, finding sponsor, raising money, packing boxes, moving tables, cleaning everything afterwards. It's months of work for one day that most people experience in just a few hours. And honestly, that completely changed my perspective. One thing I absolutely loved was helping selling the merchandise. This was the official t-shirt of the Pride of Cagliari in Sardinia. And that was even more deep for me because I never celebrate Pride in my hometown because I was living in Milan. So every year I was there basically. I really love to help sell merchandise, not because I suddenly become a sales person, definitely not, but because every single thing we sold had a purpose. The money wasn't just going towards making the parade happen. It was helping the association continue supporting LGBTQ people all year long, people who have been rejected by their families, people who need emotional support, young queer people trying to understand themselves, sometimes even people who suddenly find themselves without a safe place to stay because their families couldn't accept who they really are. And that hit me really hard because I realized Pride isn't just one day, it's a community, it's support, it's showing someone that they are not alone. It's creating a place where maybe, just maybe, someone can breathe for the first time in a long time. And that's beautiful. Something else made this experience even more special: the people. I met so many incredible human beings, people older than me, who had lived through times I can't even imagine, people who had spent years fighting just so my generation could have a little bit more freedom. And they welcomed me with so much kindness. Nobody cared how I dressed. Nobody cared whether I was too masculine or too feminine. Nobody questioned me. I was just me. And somehow that was enough. Part 3: that moment that broke me emotionally. I think this was the moment everything clicked. There wasn't one dramatic movie scene, no huge revelation. It was actually something much quieter. I remember looking around during one of our volunteering days. Everyone was laughing, working, talking, helping each other, and I suddenly realized I feel safe here. That thought almost scared me because I don't think I've ever thought that before, not in a group. I've spent so much of my life feeling like the weird kid, the one who dresses differently, the one who never really fit into one boxes, the one who was always trying to understand why it felt so different. And then I looked around and nobody expected me to explain myself. Nobody expected me to shrink. Nobody expected me to become someone else. For the first time, my weakness didn't feel like weakness anymore. It just felt like me. And maybe that's what belonging really is. Not finding people who are exactly like you, but finding people who let you exactly be who you are. I think that's why this pride will stay with me forever. Not because it was the biggest, not because it was the loudest, but because it quietly reminded me that maybe I've never been broken. I've just been looking for the right people. And finally, I found some of them. Now that I've really made myself emotional, let's go back a little, because this wasn't actually my first pride. And I think my very first one, pride, explained why this year meant so much for me. Part 4, my first pride. So let's rewind 3 years, because this wasn't actually my first pride, but it was the third. Yeah, it's literally 3 years that I am out of the closet. Only 3 years. But I still remember my first one so clearly. And honestly, I had no idea what to expect. I remember getting there and thinking, wait, there are these many people like me. Because when you're growing up queer, especially if you're still trying to understand yourself, your sexuality, it can feel incredibly lonely. You start thinking you're the only one. You wonder if there's something wrong with you. You wonder why everyone else seems to fit into this perfect little box. While you're sitting there thinking, am I differently? Why do I feel different? And then I went to Pride. I saw thousands of people laughing, holding hands, dancing, being themselves. People of every age, every style, every identity. And I remember looking around thinking, oh my god, I'm not alone at all. This feeling is impossible to explain unless you have experienced it. Because it's not just about seeing queer people, it's about realizing that your future exists. You suddenly see older queer couples, families, friends, people living normal, beautiful lives. And you realize, my story doesn't end here. Growing up, I don't think I ever really saw that. I didn't grow up seeing queer adults living ordinary, happy lives. I didn't have examples to look at. So seeing all of that in real life, it gave me hope. And I think that's one of the reasons Pride still makes me so emotional every year. Because every Pride reminds me of the first feeling. That feeling that maybe I could build a pretty life for me, have a future, have a wife, have kids one day. And I literally found my people. Part 5, my sexuality. This is probably the part of the video that makes me more anxious. Because, talking about sexuality is complicated. Not because I'm ashamed anymore. Actually, for the first time, I think it's the opposite. But because I don't really think that sexuality is as simple as people want it to be. For the long time, I felt like I needed an answer. Like I had to figure out myself as quickly as possible. What label I am, what is my sexuality, what if I get it wrong? And honestly, that pressure exhausted me. Because the truth is, I've only really fallen in love once, and it was with a girl, my first girlfriend. A real, deep, beautiful love. That's the only thing I know for sure. Everything else, I don't know. And I've finally become okay with that. Maybe one day I'll fall in love with another woman. Maybe one day I'll fall in love with someone else. I generally have no idea. And for the first time, I don't feel like I need to. That's why lately I've started feeling much comfortable simply calling myself queer. Not because I think everyone should stop using labels. Absolutely not. If calling yourself a lesbian, pansexual, bisexual, demisexual, asexual, and so on makes you feel seen, I'm generally so happy for you. Labels help so many people understand themselves and find community. For me though, queer feels like home because it gives me room to grow, room to change, room to simply exist without feeling like I have to prove something. And I think that's beautiful. For me, being queer is not only about who I date, it's about how I move through the world. It's my identity. It's feeling comfortable embracing my masculine side and the other day my feminine side. It's understanding that I don't have to fit into traditional expectations just because society tells me I should. When I was younger, I struggled with that a lot. Sometimes I feel too masculine, sometimes I feel too feminine, but I've already talked about that enough. But I really thought there had something wrong with me for being like that. Now I actually think that's one of my favorite things about myself because it's me. And honestly, I've stopped apologizing for that. One thing I also want to say is that I've stopped feeling ashamed if I'm attracted to a person that is not a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I used to overthink that so much because I honestly mostly dating people inside the community. But like, attraction doesn't ask for permission. Love doesn't send you an application for before showing up. It just happens. And I think that's kind of beautiful. Part 6, trauma. There is another part of the conversation that I don't think we talk that much. Trauma. Because the way we experience love isn't separated from the experience we lived through. It just isn't for me. There are fears that I still carry with myself, and I'm working on them. One of that is because of my own experiences. I still find it harder to trust men than women. That's my reality. It doesn't mean every man is the same. It doesn't mean I want to live my life believing that. It just means that healing takes time. And I'm really trying because I don't want my past to decide my future. I don't want fear to become the person making my choices. I want curiosity to make them. I want kindness to make them. I want love to make them, not trauma. One thing I've also realized is that I used to put women on a pedestal. Like, girls were these magical, perfect creatures in my head, untouchable, almost divine. And they still are, of course. But then life reminds me of something very simple. Women are people. Men are people. People can be incredibly kind. People can also disappoint you. We are just human. And honestly, that realization made me more open. Not more confused, more open. Because instead of asking myself, could I date this gender? I find myself asking, how this person makes me feel. Do I feel safe? Do I feel respected? Can I be completely myself around them? Those questions matter so much more for me now. Healing has also meant letting go of shame. Shame for changing, shame for trying something different, shame for questioning myself, shame for being different. And maybe that's another reason why volunteering at Pride affected me so deeply. Because nobody there expected me to explain myself. Because no one there expected me to have everything figured out. Nobody handed me a checklist saying, you have to know exactly who you are before you're welcome here. I was welcome exactly as I am. Still growing, still learning, still healing. And maybe that's what community is supposed to feel. And that brings me something I've been thinking about ever since Pride ended. Because after experiencing everything behind the scenes, I realized Pride means something much bigger than I ever realized. So, part 7, what Pride actually means. After this year, I don't think I'll ever look at Pride the same way again. Before volunteering, if someone had asked me, what is Pride? I probably would answer it's like a celebration, a party, and yes, it absolutely is. It's music, it's glitter, it's people dancing in the streets, it's friends hugging each other, it's people crying because for one day they don't feel alone anymore. It's joy, pure joy. But after volunteering, I realized that's only what we've seen on the surface. Behind every Pride, there are months of work, meetings, phone call, planning. It's hundreds of people giving their time because they believe that one day of visibility can change someone's life. And I honestly think that's beautiful. One of my favorite parts was helping raising money for the association because I realized we weren't selling just rainbow merchandise. We were helping people because the association supports LGBTQ plus people throughout the entire year. People who are struggling, people who needs a home. And that really stayed with me because Pride doesn't finish when the parade ends. Community doesn't disappear on July 1st. the work continue, the support continue, the love continue. And that's something I don't think enough people reflect on it. And like my thoughts on that is that the real pride isn't the celebration, it's the people. It's the volunteers, the organizers, it's every person who keeps showing up year after year because they remember what it felt like to be scared, confused, or alone, and they don't want someone else to feel that way. And I think that's incredibly powerful. Part 8, the future. Something I've been thinking a lot about recently is the future. Not only mine, everyone's. I keep thinking about young queer people, the ones who are still trying to figure out themselves, because I remember what it felt like, feeling different, feeling confused, wondering why everyone else seemed to understand themselves except me, wondering why I couldn't just be normal. And honestly, that makes me emotional because no child should think that who they are is a problem. They deserve to grow, knowing that they are enough exactly as they are. I also hope that in the future we leave a little more room for uncertainty. I think labels are incredibly important, and I would say that every time. But I also think there should be space for people who are still figuring out themselves, for people whose journey isn't linear, for people who don't have every answer, because life changes. We grow, we discover new things about ourselves. And I don't think that's something we should be ashamed of. I also hope that one day we become a little less focused on putting people into boxes and a little more focused on simply seeing people as people. I know the word is much more complicated than that, but I think empathy gets us much farther than judgment ever will. Part 9. Love. I don't even know if I am in the right position to talk about this, but let's focus on it. One thing this year has taught me is that I don't want fear to make my decisions anymore. I don't want trauma to choose who I trust. I don't want labels who tell me who I'm allowed to love. I don't want society to decide what my future life looks like. I simply want to live and love. I have a huge preference on women, not gonna lie. But I think that for me, it's more like if I'm interested in a person, I'm interested in that person, and I don't really care about their gender. And I realize I'm not looking for genders anymore. It's just a person, someone kind, someone emotionally mature, someone who makes me feel safe, who makes me happy, who makes me laugh, who makes me, I don't know, just be myself. And that's what matters to me now. I am trying to understand how to create my standards because I know what I want in a person. I just don't know how the person is gonna look like. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned this year. I've also done a lot of trouble and pretty shitty decisions, but you know, we are still here. But like, for me, love is finding a person that feels like home. And I also have to tell that I'm effing traumatized about every gender that exists. I've dated people. So at this moment, I really want to be single, enjoy my life, and be with myself, focusing on my stuff, and really like healing a little bit, because I am understanding that some patterns are still here in my dating life and I don't want them to be here. So I have to heal, I think. This is the ending. If you watch this whole video, thank you. Really. I know this was probably one of the most personal videos I've ever made, but I wanted to make it because I know there are people watching who might be where I was a few years ago. Maybe you're questioning yourself. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you feel alone. I just wanted this video to be like a safe place for people. And if you think you're the only one, I promise you, you're not. 3 years ago, I went to my first Pride and I realized I wasn't alone. This year, I volunteered at Pride and I realized I belonged. those are two very different feelings, because the first one gave me hope, but the second one gave me a family. I always be grateful for that. One thing that makes me happy is to see Pride as people taking care of each other. It's community, it's hope. It's showing someone that their future exists. So if you're part of the community and you have a thought about volunteering for Pride, I recommend you to do it. It's like a very beautiful experience. And not because anyone expects you to do that, but because you might discover another part of Pride. And before I end this video, I just want to leave you with one last thought. Be yourself, but like, for real, be yourself. Life is already hard enough. Don't make it even harder by trying to become someone you're not. People will always have opinions. People will always judge. So you might as well spend your life becoming the version of yourself that makes you feel the most free. Because that's what I've tried to do this year. And honestly, I never felt more like myself. Like every day, basically, I wake up and I embrace the energy that I feel most comfortable in. Whether it's masculine, it's feminine, it's a mix of both, even like in dating. I'm trying to date people that are not maybe exactly aesthetically my type, because I'm understanding that every person makes me feel different, and it's like the most special part of that. I'm so happy that I did this video. It was very like a struggle to, put all my thoughts in a linear form, because I'm an overthinker. But I really love you. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.